get into it now. That's a
I'm
conversation
just
for later.
So that's a different conversation for a different time.
It is a different conversation. That's best done over a beer.
Especially something that's
I prefer
not
bourbon, but yeah, okay.
But yes, that's a libation conversation.
Libation competition. Oh, by the way, maybe I should wait till we go live to say this.
We are live. We are live right now.
We are live.
Yes. Should be showing up any second now, if it's not already.
No. Mute. Can't have all that in my face.
Say again. Let me make sure. Let me get my do not disturb. Because last thing I need is my phone going off for the whole damn time. Just
Good call. I'm already muted, so.
all right, cool.
And we are live where? We're
live on YouTube. We are live on Twitch. And we're live on the Radia. Wait a minute. What in the hell?
Radia.
Oh, we must be going live now because Pastor Best must be getting off of the air.
How is he still doing his thing?
Yeah, I think he is. I think Pastor.
We're part of a radio network with like multiple stations and shows. So
cool.
Yeah, so I think Pastor Best just must have just logged off now. So I think we're good. We're good. So go ahead. Let's get the show on the road.
Hey, this is the Rules of Nerdquisition on February 2nd, 2025. 2000 Project 25, which is awful. But anyway, my name is Gretchen. This is my co-host Gilbert, my unflappable first officer, and we have a special guest today, Joseph the Platypus from another tracking podcast, which is the most amazing title ever because yes,
it's a great name.
Everybody has a podcast now. But hey, Joseph, thank you for joining us today. I've been chatting you up and blowing your texts up all week. Like, I'm so happy to get you here. Like, thank you for showing up.
Oh, it's fun. Glad to be here.
Good. I'm glad. And
yes.
I made Gilbert the full dress uniform today.
Yeah, sent out the order. Not order 66, but she did send out the order. She sent out the order. Said full uniform today.
Full uniform, because I knew, knowing Joseph, we've been mutuals a long time, knowing that he is very happy to do cosplay. As I am.
Yeah. Any excuse I have to get dressed up, I will.
There we go. There we go. Here we go.
A day that ends with Y, that's a great day to do it. Let's go.
And we, ladies and gentlemen, and all those in between, we did not plan this, but we are all in
full uniform.
Colors.
3 different colors.
3 different
full
colors.
Uniform over
red, gold, and blue.
Yes.
But hey, Gilbert, we're talking about Metamorphosis today.
That we are. Metamorphosis, season 2, episode 9 of the original series of Star Trek. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. We open up the story where, the Federation's Karen got sick and she's going to a med base. I mean, come on. Let's be honest. She was a Karen. She was a Federation Karen. Let's be honest.
Yeah, kind of. She was not.
She was not a very pleasant person
in this episode.
No, but she was there to make peace. I guess
a job.
Well, see,
yes.
Well, she had an important job, and I'm sure that her way to doing it was, hey, enemy my enemy. So it's like, hey, you piss off two people, hey, they come after you. So it's you made peace. It's an interesting way to make
and
peace.
hey, I just need to throw this out there because I need to keep my kill to death ratio perfect.
Here we go.
Glenn Edwin Rothenberg, who played Zephram Cochrane in this episode, passed away on January 16th of 1993. So there it is. My kill to death ratio is perfect.
Staying at 100%.
If you don't know, Joseph, what I do is I highlight a member of the cast or crew every episode who has passed away. We don't do that to make fun of them. We honor them because we're here because of them.
Right.
Yeah.
We're doing
So
what we
this is
do.
our way to paying homage to them, their contributions, their career, their lives,
Right.
things like that.
The worst one was Jeffrey Hunter because we've actually had Chris Hunter, his son, on the show, and he's coming back on the show, and that one was hard.
Yeah.
That was hard.
So hopefully Chris and Mark Myers, they should be on maybe next week because Mark was feeling a little ill, so he wouldn't be able to do it. So hopefully he should be good to go by next week. But yeah.
Yeah, we're looking to get them
So-
both on. That would be great because we have another show called Model Citizen, and I am currently building an AML model of the Enterprise refit, which Mark, favorite version of the Enterprise, and I've been building it piece by piece on that show. So let you know, the Enterprise refit is the best. But if you want to build me a Strange New Worlds version of the Enterprise, I love that model. When it showed up
I
at
will
the
give
end
it-
of season 2 of Discovery or season
Yes.
1, I was like, "Grr."
I was hoping on that show that we would get an Enterprise cameo.
Yeah. I like
Yeah, well-
that model too.
Do you like it too?
Oh,
I was gonna
yeah.
Say, it was like,
It's a great model. It really is.
I mean, I don't know about you guys. I don't know how much. I mean, we're all into Star Trek. Obviously, we're wearing uniforms. We're all red, gold, and blue here. But like when I saw when Burnham was like, "It's the USS Enterprise," I freaked the frick out. No swear jar. No swear jar.
So-
You see what I did there?
I see what you did. I see.
But we know the connotation though. We know the connotation.
I know what you said, but I know what you meant.
Thanks, Mom. But anyway, yeah, we're talking about so Kirk and crew they end up on this planet, and there's this dude there.
Just some random dude, and he's like, "Hey yo, who are
Ooh,
you?"
what's up?
And
By the way, you're
then
not going anywhere.
Right.
Right.
You're not going anywhere. You can't leave. You can't leave.
he said, "So
What did you think about this episode, Joseph? I mean, I'm assuming you're very familiar with the original series, right?
Oh, I grew up on it. So
Thank you.
my mom would watch reruns with me in the middle of the night. So
Awesome.
yeah. And I'm in the Houston area, right? So like Channel 39, like in the 80s, had Star Trek running like 10 p.m. or something, and I would stay up late watching with my mom. So very familiar with it. I've rewatched it many times. One of my coping mechanisms for life is to just like as I'm working from home, is to have an episode of Star Trek on in the background, just
Yes.
background noise. So yeah, the episode though, it's not one of my favorites. There's so much
No.
wrong with it.
I agree.
yes, absolutely."
It definitely has not aged well because I can think back to like the 80s. I'm old, and like okay, kind
Born
of
in
cheesy.
74.
Yeah,
77.
78 for me. So wow. It definitely hadn't aged that great in like the early 80s, but by now, no, it's bad. I mean, they They made this, I guess, diplomat look horrible, as you said. They Karened her up,
Yes.
which just Gene Roddenberry was great at so many things, but portraying guest characters who were women, or even some of the main cast, like Yeoman Rand,
Yeah,
do
we've
things in the best way.
talked many a time about Yeoman Rand and
Yeah.
how she
And
is.
also,
Yeah.
just from the pilot, when Pike, Jeffrey Hunter, walked onto the bridge and
It's like the
said,
first.
I can't get used to a woman on the bridge, talking about number one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
major
and it was
character in Strange New Worlds. A
Yes.
major character. And like,
Yeah.
I
The
can't
very
get used
first
to a woman
line-
on the bridge.
like almost his first lines out of the gate. Woman on the bridge. Just can't get used to it. What?
So it's when I watched the old series, the original series, there's a TikToker, Morgan, who does a lot of Star Trek content, but he also does a lot of like social justice type stuff. And
Mhm.
he has this thing where he's like, on this episode of Misogyny in Space, and he like brings up like somebody who's made some sexist comment on one of his Trek videos, right? And whenever I watch the original series now, I just kind of like, oh, another episode of Misogyny in Space. Like it was really an interesting concept for an episode, but the way they played this poor woman was just so wrong. She was basically there to portray like a negative stereotype of women, and then
Mhm.
basically get, I mean, not really, but kind of fridged towards the end, so that she could be this vessel for something else. It was
It's almost like
You're
um,
not wrong. You're not
Yeah.
wrong, because for all of the original series progressive movements and
Mhm.
themes, one thing that stood clear throughout the entire series was misogyny.
mhm.
It was
Oh,
always
yeah.
there. Whether it was Jeffrey Hunter's Pike talking about number one, or Kirk, like, oh, I could get used to this, and when some gorgeous
The-
woman walks by, like,
or yeah, something like that, or even the one really cringy, creepy episode where Kirk basically put the moves on a teenage girl, even though she was like 300 years old, but still, it was like
Mary.
yes,
Mary. Yep. Yeah.
but still, I mean, she was
It was weird.
adolescent.
And yes, when I watch those shows, I think, I get it. This was the time period the show was made. And I have to be considerate of that. But at the same time, it's just like, you're not really as progressive as you think you're trying to be.
Yeah, like I mean, you're almost there, but it's just something's missing, and that's something that you kind of need to get past is basically the misogyny. One big glaring thing is that
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they knew misogyny and sexism wasn't right, but they didn't
Mm.
Oh, they
care.
knew. They knew.
They didn't care.
They knew. Didn't care. You're
Or-
right. You're right.
Yeah.
or maybe that maybe their whole thinking is that, well, maybe if we display it prominently but still kind of subtly at the same time, it'll kind of get the message across that maybe we shouldn't talk to women like this, because it was kind of disrespectful just then. But
And maybe you two can answer this question for me, because I'm white as mayo, but you remember the episode where you had the half black, half white person?
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Remember that? And did you guys watch Section 31? Have you seen
Oh
that?
yeah.
yes, yes,
And
I
they
have.
brought back that race, which was supposed to be one wiped out because there were only two people left. But maybe don't do that. That was just my thought. Like, maybe don't do the blackface, even if it's only half.
Yeah, I mean.
There's a lot.
I'm just
Okay.
Like, I understand that's supposed to be the
I-
alien race. I get that. That doesn't mean that it's okay, and it doesn't mean it's right. I mean,
It's one thing when you're addressing racism in the 60s and you have the civil rights movement and you're making a very pointed commentary
yes.
about they're the same but different and how ridiculous it is to wipe each other off of their own planet because of this just physical difference that doesn't matter versus, and this is something that I really disliked about Picard season 3 in general, playing to
I'm
the
waiting.
fan
I'm waiting for
service,
this.
Oh
playing to the
yeah.
fan service
Okay.
just to play to the fan service and not actually humoring the spirit of the original show from which these characters came from. Because
Okay.
one, you're right, that species should be extinct, right? So maybe
Yes.
maybe
Yeah.
something happened.
Mhm.
They
But-
killed each other. They killed each other.
If you're going to bring back this character or this species, do so in a way that honors the original series and the symbols behind it. Don't just do it because it's like, oh, it's a cameo and like people who have watched Trek forever will know. You're
Right.
pointing.
Right.
I'm pointing at you because you're making a valid point.
Right. which is why I don't like season 3 of Star Trek or Picard, because yeah, they brought back lots of cool things, but it was empty. They did Crusher wrong, horribly wrong.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yes.
Absolutely. Agreed.
I agree. I agree on
She
that
was
one.
Not right. She was not right.
No, and there was a lot to it. I mean, there was a lot on that season that bothered me. So, and I think one of the problems, and I'm gonna dive into this a little bit, right, is the showrunner is a very well known kind of misogynist, and has on social media been very dismissive of women who have asked questions or criticized the way things are portrayed. So, and that goes kind of back to this episode we're talking about, because Roddenberry was good in a lot of ways, but he did a lot of people dirty. And one of the people he did dirty was DC Fontana, who was this amazing writer on Trek
Yes.
for years.
Mhm.
Agreed.
And then when TNG came back out, just did her dirty. So, and there's, other commentary about it. So you can appreciate Trek and you can idolize it, but let's also call out the bad. And
Right.
I think this episode really highlights a lot of the innate misogyny and how he was okay with it, honestly. Because
and can I just say that DC Fontana passed away December 2nd of 2019. Rest in peace. There's my 2 for 1.
you're two for
Said, I got a 2 for
My
1,
2 for 1.
and we did it just for you, our audience.
We really I really did appreciate a lot of her contributions to Trek.
yeah. No, I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
just
absolutely.
just amazing. And Deep Space Nine kind of paid tribute to her in that one episode where Cisco is hallucinating and he's back in like the 50s or 60s or whatever. No, I think it was the 40s because they were talking about World War II.
Where he was writing a story about Deep Space Nine.
Correct. Right. And there was Kira was playing a character, and it was like one of the big things on Trek is like they never gave the women writers credit.
Far Beyond
With-
the Stars, ladies and gentlemen. Far Beyond
Correct.
the Stars is the name of that episode.
They always gave the women, like, they made them use their initials instead of giving them full credit by their name because they didn't ever want their viewers to think, oh, a woman wrote this. So, again, just like this other thing, it would have been like a minor thing, especially considering that Lucille Ball wrote a lot of stuff, and she's the whole reason why Trek was on TV, right? Like,
Yeah.
she
Yes.
made it happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lucille, who, by the way, has passed away. I'm not going to get into it. Again,
But yeah, that's one of the major things one of the major issues I have with Roddenberry and this episode is just the blatant misogyny, and one of the things I'll always call out.
No, I agree. I agree. And as far as Far Beyond the Stars goes, that is probably in my opinion, the greatest Deep Space Nine episode ever made. And the
It's one of my
fact that
favorites.
Yeah.
Avery Brooks lost himself in that moment at the end when he was crying and falling on the floor, that the other actors were like, we didn't know how to pull him out of this. That broke me. And I'm like I said, I'm white as mayo. I've got no skin in this game whatsoever, no dog in the fight. But every time I watch that episode, I bawl my freaking eyes out. Every time.
But God forbid New Trek would be woke. God forbid.
Oh no. Oh, that would be the most horrible thing.
And we're talking. I mean, we've gotten off topic, and I tend to do that, and I apologize. But
No, you're fine.
Look here, man. We get on the
We do it
80.
all the time.
Say, listen, we get on the ADHD train and just let it ride.
yeah,
Welcome
I
to
love
the ADHD machine. But anyway, please continue.
Avery Brooks just brought so much to Trek in the 90s.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
There's that episode. There's the fact that he's a single father who's an amazing role model and is so involved with Jake. Just a great father, as opposed to the bad parents that we see in Trek. Michael Dorn's Worf, for example, horrible father.
Horrible dad. Sorry.
little bit.
Warrior culture is cool and all, but it sucks also.
I mean, it's not very conducive for, raising a child.
But there was that episode, and then there's an episode in season 7 where the holodeck's going they've got the jazz singer, and it gets taken over by the mafia because this is like a
Yep.
Easter egg within the program, and everybody's
Correct.
trying to save Vic Fontaine from the mob. And Cassidy Yates asks Sisko, like, why don't you ever come onto the holodeck with us? Why don't you help us out? And he looks at her and he's like, because that entire program is a lie. And goes into how we wouldn't have been accepted in Vegas in that time period. It was a bad time for our people. Civil rights movement hadn't yet started, and I'm not going to go in there and pretend like it never happened. And just makes this point about not reinterpreting the past to make it seem friendlier for black people because this is their form of entertainment. And I think Cassidy has a very telling point. It's like, I know what it was like. I understand. But what we're doing is showing what things could be like if there hadn't been the racism. And that's also a very powerful point. And just like Avery Brooks and, I forget the actress's name who plays Cassie, but just that interaction in that entire episode is also very telling. So I just feel
absolutely.
like there's so much brought to Trek because of Deep
I'm
Space
glad
Nine.
you see that because, and I want to add to that, Avery Brooks and Kira Lofton, who played Jake,
Yep.
their off-screen relationship was incredible. That Avery Brooks became a father figure to Kira Lofton is fantastic. And I love that because I just watched the movie The Equalizer 2 last night
Yep.
with Denzel Washington.
Yep.
And his character McCall, his relationship with Miles, I don't know the actor's name, but the character Miles was the best part of that movie.
Yeah. Yep.
The absolute best part. And I love that
Yeah.
Avery Brooks stepped in and said to Kirok, "Hey, I'm your dad now. I'm your dad now."
And it shows in that entire show, like the chemistry.
Yes, it does.
There's just something about that series, and the chemistry between the cast members is just amazing. Just amazing.
Would you say that DS9 is your favorite of all the series of Star Trek?
It remains my favorite. And I say that.
And you are in good company because we all agree
That's it.
here.
Yes,
not-
absolutely. You know, the other ones are good. Some are better than others, but DS9 is where it's at.
I'm gonna maintain the musical episode of Strange New Worlds was freaking fantastic, but
You know,
it's still not my favorite series.
it's not my favorite series because it's a good series, and I like Strange New Worlds, so I'm going to put
Yeah,
it
Yes.
it's
out there.
fun.
Yes.
It's fun. It's fun.
But it's very appeasing to a certain fan base that we need to move away from. And I'm going to say my second favorite series is probably Discovery, and that's going to be very controversial for a lot of people because
Not us.
No.
a lot of people that like Strange New Worlds hate Discovery because it's like, oh, it's a nice, comfortable show for them, and it's like it's woke enough without being too much. It's like, what does that even mean? That
So
makes no sense
what
to
you
me.
don't know, Joseph, is that I just finished. I had not watched Discovery,
Okay,
and
So
Gilbert-
she just
Gilbert knows
recently
this.
finished it,
I
and
just finished the entire series, and I was blowing Gilbert's phone up.
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
That
And-
show is amazing, and only second to DS9.
yes.
Only second to DS9.
I will.
And
I
what-
will agree.
And what kind of makes it funny about the whole situation was that I just said to her, said, hey, you got to check out Discovery. You got to check it out. Just
I was like,
Just check it out.
okay.
And she was kind of like, all right, eventually, I'll watch it. I'll watch it eventually, And when she watched the first season, then it started saying, oh my God, this is so great. And then, well, I would say,
Yeah.
no,
And then 2
not
days
really.
later, I was like, I just finished season 5. It's amazing.
So no, I will say once, right, season 3 was when they went far into the future. That's when you was like, oh my God,
Yeah, season
I
3 when
love
they go
this
1,000
series.
years in the future. Yep.
Yeah, so I love this show. I love it. It's the best ever. DS9 is the best, but this is great ever.
Yeah,
You know,
I
that
really
type-
feel like there was a little bit of roughness to the show in season 1 because they had like lost
Yeah.
the showrunner,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
So that
kinda,
continuity like suffered. I can't remember the name of the showrunner for season 5. I think 3 through 5 is the same showrunner. But regardless, like it is this amazing gift of a show that started off kind of weird because they were trying to be everything for everybody. It's like, no, just let Burnham be captain. Let Burnham thrive.
yeah.
Kurtzman?
Make the show. Discovery.
Kurtzman? That
No,
was
no,
the,
not
the show.
Kurtzman. Not Kurtzman.
Let's
Discovery
see.
season 5. Kurtzman did eventually let the people do what they needed to do. But they had lost Fish Out Paradise, I believe.
But it's still, yes, the show.
Yeah,
The
okay.
show is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like it's.
Oh yeah.
Again, other than the fact that and I look, Star Trek people, if you're listening, serialized TV episodes are not a bad thing. It worked with DS9. That's why we love it. That's why seasons 2 through 7 were one continuous story, and we loved it. And Discovery also,
Yeah.
all of that. Enterprise, or not Enterprise, Strange New Worlds is doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Enterprise did it only in one season, and again, I'm going to side with Joseph here. Archer is the worst captain.
He's,
He is.
he's
His.
a bad captain.
My thing is that.
I need to
Alright.
hear your opinion. I need to hear your opinion.
Let's let Gilbert go first.
Well, see, I haven't watched all of Enterprise, like all of the series yet, and so I'm restarting watching it. And
You're trying, but it's
while
all right.
Archer is, he is a captain.
He's a captain.
He's been very problematic. Very problematic with how he's handled situations. He's been extremely problematic. And while he is a captain, He's there.
He
That's
almost
the best I
started.
can say. He's a captain and he's there.
He's not even the best human they could have put in space. I'm going to put
No.
it out there.
No.
No.
So Van loves to mention that he's a nepo baby and only got the job over a woman because Daddy built the engine. That's the only reason he got the job. And
Fair. Fair.
That's fair.
I mean, you can't argue that. He is more concerned with water polo and pretending like he's a good dog father, but he's not, than he is with the actual like safety of the ship or, safety of the Earth. Almost gets into an interstellar incident because he brings his dog to an alien planet,
Yeah.
doesn't do the research he needed to do, and lets the dog just pee anywhere and offends this alien race. And then he, instead of like,
oh, I probably
Doing it.
should not have brought my dog to a
Right.
peace mission, or I probably should not have
that.
brought my dog, to a society that I'm not exactly sure, So yeah, and that was one that was problematic.
yes,
I'm just going to say this. Joseph, you may not know, but Gilbert knows. I am not a fan of J.J. Abrams' Star Trek: The Lens Flare, right? I'm not a fan of those movies. But when Scotty said he was doing his transporter experiment and he tried it on Admiral Archer's dog, Prize Beagle, and it didn't come back yet, I cheered. I wasn't upset, and I love dogs. I have a dog. I love
Okay.
dogs, but
but the dog was innocent. If he had done it
Right?
to Admiral
Yes.
Archer, that would have been fine. I've
well,
been
he
okay
said
with
that. He's like, I tried it on Admiral Archer's dog, Prize Beagle, and when it comes back, I'll let you know.
No. The beagle needs to be saved. Archer should have been disappeared.
Archer
Yes.
should have been
Yes.
disappeared.
Yes.
And the fact that in Discovery, when was it Burnham or Captain Lorca was looking at recent or deceased captains, and Archer was on the screen, I was just like, Archer.
It's like,
I
Archer.
do not like Enterprise, and this is something we might find contentious. You like the actual song, don't you? You like the opening theme to Enterprise.
I do like the theme. I do. I'm okay with the theme. I have no problems with it whatsoever.
And you
Now-
are not in good company when it comes to that, because
You
See,
know
here's the
what?
thing. I don't mind the theme. I do mind where it's at. If it was at the end of the show, with the credits are going and it plays a song, cool. I'm fine
We've
with
talked
that.
about that. Yeah,
It's been a long road. To get
Skip.
somebody here.
it
Skip,
should be the
skip. Where
end
does it skip
credits,
at?
though, and then just have the opening theme be no lyric,
Yes.
like any other Star Trek series.
That's. Yeah.
This is okay. Look, I don't mind. That
Or
it's-
even if on the pilot episode, okay, and they play the song as the voyage of the Enterprise as it makes the whole maiden voyage to take a dead body back to Klingon. But anyways, so it feels like it's been a long time, and then you see the Enterprise going up. Okay, cool. I'm great with that. And then at the end of the show, it's been a long time. I don't have to skip.
I will watch Enterprise just for the song and then skip the episode. That's how much I like
Oh
it.
my God, that's impressive. That's impressive.
That's how much I like it. And that's how much I dislike Archer, by the way. I might feel differently if I liked Archer even a little bit more, but it's just
It's
not.
yeah, and
All
here's the
right,
thing.
Joseph. Rapid fire question. Favorite Enterprise episode? Go.
Favorite Enterprise episode would have to be, oh God, the episode, the two-parter where he gets sucked into the past, into the future by Daniels, and then it destroys the future, and so he's just looking out at this like wasteland, right? So like that's like season one's
yeah,
like
the
final
season.
episode.
Oh yeah.
season finale. Yeah.
Season finale.
Mm. My
Favorite
favorite
episode.
was Regeneration, just because I am a absolute Borg
Borg.
fanatic.
That's a good episode.
Borg
Oh
fanatic.
yeah.
It's a good one. It's a good
Yes.
And
one.
Archer
I
was
love the Borg
Archer was
until the Queen ruined it.
mostly irrelevant in that episode. So I think that's
Yeah.
probably why I liked it as well.
Right, right.
I also liked
So, yeah.
Carbon Creek, the episode
Oh,
with
yeah, it was a good one. yeah.
because it had nothing to do with Archer whatsoever. It had everything to
Nope.
do with the Paul's ancestors.
And Velcro,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Like the Vulcans gave us Velcro. You're welcome, human beings.
So you're welcome. You gave it to him like
It
years
was-
earlier,
it was a good
but
episode.
There's so many Easter eggs behind that. Not the least
Oh.
of which was Rick Berman had this huge thing against zippers and showing zippers, which is why the jumpsuits are like zipped from the back so you wouldn't see the zipper. It's like there's no zippers in
It has a
space.
zipper right in front.
Yeah, and like that's just anyway. There's just a lot to that.
I said that is weird.
once
That's so odd. Yeah.
I am going to, in about 20 minutes when we reset the show, I'm going to ask you all what your favorite episode of every series is. So I want you to think about that. You have 20 minutes to think about it. But moving on.
Okay, I got it. I got it.
And we're
Well,
back
see,
to
I couldn't tell you the
Rick
episode
holding
name.
up the fabric in front when the companion's like in her body, like holding the fabric up and looking at Zephram Cochrane, who was played by James Cromwell in the movie First Contact and also
Mhm.
in the pilot of Enterprise. But,
Yes.
Continuity.
yeah, but again, the original actor has passed away. I already covered that at the beginning of the show. If you want to hear what I said about that, you can listen on Spotify later.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah.
I'm stuck on thinking my favorite episodes of each series now. Like my brain's just like, oh god. I'm
Well, see,
it's
it's-
an easy one.
You got 24
Let's say,
minutes.
I know-
You got 24 minutes, and I'll reset the show, which is where I basically just say, hey, we're airing on all these places, and this is us, and, and then we'll go. So you have time. You have time.
Well, see, here's the thing.
I'm just glad
I
you're
don't.
here.
I wouldn't be able to know the episode titles, but I can tell you like the plot and premise of them.
That's fine. That's fine. You don't have to give us the titles. I just want to know. I mean, I know that Joseph, you don't know this. I'm gonna embarrass Gilbert again because he's my friend and I don't care.
Of course.
His first experience to Star Trek was the episode "Piece of the Action." The
The
mobster
original
episode.
series. Yes.
Oh,
It's just
Was
Star
a-
Trek. She.
Going for a piece of the action, see? This Star Trek, see?
that's your first episode.
That was the very first episode I've watched
ever
of the original series. Now, up until then, only thing I had known of the original series, was just the pop culture references. The beat me up, Scotty, even though he never said that. And
Never said that.
I'm a doctor, not a whatever. Okay,
I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer.
right.
Doctor, not a doorstop. Actually,
So
the holographic doctor said that in
yeah,
First Contact, but whatever.
and so first Trek I saw was actually Next Gen. So my first introduction to actually, this whole Star Trek universe was Next Generation. Now, when Blockbuster opened up, and so you live in an area the way I did when I grew up with no cable, and you only had 3 channels, and those 3 channels did not play Star Trek at all, So you go to Blockbuster and you see Star Trek, the original series. Oh, I've never seen the original series. Let me go see and check this out. I
wanna
pop
watch
in.
this episode. She.
Yeah, Trey. And so, and again, if I didn't date myself from Blockbuster, it's going to be this. I took the tape, the VHS tape, place it in my VHS VCR player. Hit the play, and then, goes through the whole FBI warning, blah, 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 and then piece of the action. The first episode I saw. And I saw the greatest fight scene that Kirk ever had. He grabbed the guy's shoulders. He shook him. He shook his shoulders. And it, just like that, one punch.
Shattered
Not even,
fights.
said not even any place that would knock him out. Probably would knock him backwards. Maybe bloody a nose, maybe, but he just shook his shoulders and knockout. And he was out. That was the greatest fight scene I've ever seen.
It's amazing to me that Trek survived all that.
Yes,
Right.
So amazing to me.
it is amazing. It is amazing, and I can't find it now. It's been years. There was a website that had a list of all the Star Trek captains. Burnham and Janeway weren't in the list because the shows weren't out yet. But it was like, here's all the people that this captain has had sex with, fought with, and all this. And like Kirk was at the top of the list of everything. Like he fought everybody. He had sex with everybody. He was
Kirk, Captain STD.
course. Captain STD.
Just sorry.
That was so great.
No, you're not wrong. And as we talked about in pre-show, we're talking about a guy who, yes, portrayed the most iconic captain of a ship of universal peace and love, but also rode Jeff Bezos' penis into space
Right.
years ago. So
I mean, I guess you got to start somewhere.
It's been a long road for him.
It's been a long road for him.
So yeah, we're still talking about Metamorphosis, season 2 of episode 9 of Star Trek: The Original Series, but we have Joseph Platypus on. You are the host or co-host of Another Frackin' Podcast.
Co-host, yes. Yep.
You can find them at Another Frackin' Podcast.com. I'll put that in the YouTube chat. What do you guys? You guys aren't Star Trek centric though, right? You
No,
talk about other stuff.
Yeah, we are just nerddom centric, right? We will definitely always kind of try to pull in a little bit of Trek because all three of us met on Trek Talk and are huge cosplayers and love Star Trek. But, we've done episodes where we've talked about different sci-fi franchises and like the best villains or like our favorite episodes, pets, our favorite pets in sci-fi.
Sure.
So we talk about
Not
all
the
sorts.
dog from the 1978 Battlestar Galactica, though, right?
We did
the
not mention
robot
that
dog.
one,
Okay, good.
but we did mention K9 from the original Doctor Who. So
Fair.
All right, that's fair. That's fair.
yeah, so we will go deep on other nerdy topics, nerdy franchises, but it really is just three friends geeking out for what was supposed to be a maximum of 90 minutes, but sometimes goes much longer than that because the ADHD is strong with all three of us. So
Hello.
So again,
Welcome.
you get a ticket. You get a ticket on the 88 train, and you just ride it until it runs out of gas or tracks,
Right.
whichever one comes first.
or somebody has to go do something.
Now, Gilbert and I started this podcast. We didn't have any plans. It was some episodes, like our early episodes, are 40 minutes.
Yep.
Some are
Yeah.
3 hours.
Yeah,
We
it just-
talked to Tom McLaren for almost 3.5 hours.
Yeah, just because he was just
But now we're actually on a radio station with a time slot. So yeah, it's 3 to 5 now. So we have 2 hours. Like you ADHD people,
So right.
get it in check.
So now, what we should do is with our Patreon is all the clips that we don't have on air. Yeah, we should make those. Yeah, on our Patreon, so that way you have an exclusive reason to check out our Patreon because
Make sure you shout out the Patreon at the end of the show.
the rules of Nerdquisition to patreon.com/the rules of Nerdquisition.
But
I'll remind
Yeah.
I'll remind you all later.
we're just a couple of nerds. Me and Gilbert just became friends through a mutual, and I was actually going to start this podcast with somebody else. Indak, I'm looking at you, sir. But you couldn't do it, and Gilbert was just like, I just want to be on the show one time, and now we do it every week.
So
Every week.
yes.
So rock on.
So essentially, I got my wish on being on the show one time.
And now
At
you're
least once.
committed. Now you're committed. Like you'll be texting.
And
me
now a
like,
minute.
you know, it's 10 till 3. Are you going to open the Zoom? I'm like, oh crap, it's Sunday. I gotta be there.
When I used to train the
I-
martial arts, there was this thing where it's like just once or only, like just 10 or only 10. And the difference being only 10 is just like 10 push-ups. Just 10 is like 10 push-ups, then 9 push-ups, then 8 push-ups, then 6 push-ups. Like, and you go on. So
Now you've got my attention. What martial arts did you train in?
Ooh.
Kuk Sool Won. So it was a Korean style. It's not as well known as like Hapkido or Taekwondo, but
I've heard of it though.
yeah, the grandmasters
Okay.
of like those three styles all kind of learn from the same people. So they're all very similar in certain ways. Kuk Sool is like this bridge between Hapkido and Taekwondo because there's lots of kicks, but there's also lots of joint locks and throws. So
Mhm.
it's kind of well rounded.
Okay.
It's very fun. I have not done it in a very long time, so I'm
I
very
haven't
out of
trained in
practice.
years either, so don't
Yeah.
feel bad. It's been a long time. I'm in my 50s, so you know, whatever. I can't do anything but walk to the bathroom in the middle of the night because I got to pee. But
The muscle memory is there, and sometimes people will do something, and
It
I'll
is.
try to react, and then my body will remind me. It's like, oh yeah, we don't actually bend that way anymore, so that's gonna hurt.
So you're in your 40s, sir. You need to stop moving like that. You know,
Basically, yes.
I
my
trained
body
in
said the same
7
thing to me. You're in your 40s,
I
sir.
trained in 7 different martial arts over a period of about 12 years.
Okay.
Shorin-ryu karate, Krav Maga, Toshindo, Bujinkan Budo Taijutsu, American Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai. I'm not remembering all of them off the top of my head. But the biggest one impact on me was Bon Senshikai Ninjutsu. And there's a lot of people that say ninjutsu is not a real art. It's not valid anymore. But you know what? Principles don't change. Techniques do, but principles don't change. Like the jumping sidekick was created to knock people off horses. How many people are you going to fight on horseback these days?
I'm in Texas, ma'am. I'm in
You might. Okay, so fair. You might fight people on horseback. But
Well, see,
but I'm just
and
saying, like,
but here,
these are
South
things that-
Carolina, well, you'll see it, but it's very rare. You'll see it.
Yeah.
Well, and even Joseph said, like, you know, sometimes people will do something that triggers something. My dad might come up to put his hand on my shoulder, and I'm just like, you know, like it's muscle memory. And then you're like, oh God, I sprained my shoulder. 'Cause I'm-
So, yeah, we've seen a few times when your daughter snuck up on you.
yeah, on this show, she's not here
Yes.
today, thankfully. But yeah,
So a few times
so
when
I'm
she
like,
snuck up on you, you're just like, ah!
freak out. Yeah. Oh, but God. What a
yeah.
world we're living in right now. What a world we're living in right now. But again, you know, metamorphosis. You got the chick holding the cloth up, like looking at Zephram Cochrane, like pull the cloth down. Like this is what it looks like when I'm in the companion. It's
Right.
not like, but still, God, what a misogynistic episode.
It was, yeah. Of course,
I think
clearly, it was the inspiration for the Futurama episode. I forget the name of that episode, but definitely is that.
It bothers me
knows?
so much that the end of the episode is okay. She's sick. They're trying to get her back because she has an important job, but instead,
Yeah,
we're gonna let the alien take over the body,
and just
whatever, and just
let her stay there.
be
You
there
know,
for all time with Zephyr Cochrane because that's a much more rewarding existence than a career stopping wars. You're a woman. You need to just be with a man. That's okay. Go.
Holy shit! I never even
yeah,
thought about it that way.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
yeah. That was the thing. I was,
just horrible.
yeah, that was
Wow.
kind of the thing that I picked up on as well. Is that she had a job. I mean, there was two warring places that they were going to war, and Kirk is just
An
like,
important job.
it's
Yeah.
like,
Not even like, hey, pick up the trash and take it to the
Yeah.
dumpster.
like she
She
was
had a
there to
real
prevent a war. You know,
I mean, I'm not picking up my trash and taking it to the dumpster, so she had a
right?
real-
Yeah,
Oh
No,
no,
I'm not
legit.
against it. I'm not against it, but I'm just saying, like, I pick up trash and take it to the dumpster every day.
Right.
And I'm nobody.
right.
I mean,
But
no, I
she's
get your
stopping
point.
wars.
But she's stopping
stopping
wars,
wars.
and then Kurt's just like, yeah, well, as long as Cochrane's getting laid, then it's cool.
Yeah, basically. And
Well,
you think
yeah.
about it, compare that to the episode where Sarek is like going to do this like peace negotiation, and he starts to lose his mind, and Picard has to basically is like do the mind meld so Sarek can keep on going in the next generation.
Unification.
Yeah.
Was
Right.
it unification?
No, that was it was before reunification.
It was. You're right.
But it, like they made this big like this is the most decorated diplomat in the Federation, and we need him to be able to do this and make peace for these people. But instead of like giving this woman the respect that we know the Federation can give for to their diplomats, Kirk's just like, oh well, she's never been in love. She doesn't care about love. She only cares about her job. That's so horrible because a woman needs to worry about love.
Right,
Because I
yeah.
like to be accurate and not spread misinformation. The episode was actually called Sarek.
Okay, there you go.
Ah, all right, cool.
And I like
did
to
not-
make sure that all of our listeners and all the people on YouTube right now that are chatting, and thank you for being here. All half dozen
How
of
many you got in
Um,
got in here? 6, 7?
I
7,
got
8,
to be
9?
clear about it. I
Yes.
don't want to spread that misinformation. So yes, the episode was called Sarek.
But it just to
Mhm.
me, like when I watched the old series, the original series, I said the old series, original series.
I'm
I'm-
old. You can call it old.
I'm always
We're all
comparing.
old here. We're all old here,
Right?
We
to
are.
be honest.
Hey. um,
Ish.
ish. I compare it to like more modern episodes, right? Because the themes are always kind of carry through and they repeat themes, and you just see like, all of the things that could have been that were not in the 60s. There is a way to do that episode and have kind of similar outcomes, but being respectful to the woman. Like, without her coming across as Space Karen, without her being basically relegated to being a bodysuit, like a meat suit for this companion. Like,
Yeah, and then just the name itself of companion. Like
that's a whole other yes.
that's a whole other
Yeah,
thing.
that can be. Yeah, but to clarify that, as much as I love Trek, and it is a big part of my life, the TNG episode, The Outcast, the one where Riker falls in love with the non-binary,
Yes.
genderless person. As a trans person, I have issues with that episode.
And that's fair, right?
Mhm.
But it was monumental at the same time in an era where people like me weren't. I mean, granted, we're being erased right now, one executive order or one day at a time. But like, um, it still was monumental.
Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
agree with what Riker did in that episode, how he dealt with his relationship with that person, but
Being
it was
trying to
still,
be a savior. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
white savior thing that really got me.
Like it's like
The white cis savior thing really got me. Yeah.
mhm. No, there's
So,
plenty
yeah.
of criticism
Yeah.
for TNG as well.
Oh,
If
of course.
I mean, if you want to talk about the worst episode of TNG ever,
Well,
Code of
let's
Honor.
do it.
Code of Honor.
Which one?
Code of Honor. It
Code of
is an
Honor.
episode where it's episode season 1, episode 4.
Oh, anything in the first 2 seasons of TNG is better.
Oh god, yeah.
This is the episode where they need to get a vaccine from a planet. But the planet that has this vaccine is basically African inspired.
Oh,
and-
that's the one with gosh, what's her name? The blonde chick.
Tasha Yar.
Yar, thank you.
Yeah.
Tasha Yar. Oh god, and she has to fight that and very poorly choreographed fight scene.
It's
Uh,
the entire episode is both misogynistic and racist.
Yes,
Hugely.
Both.
So-
Yeah. I'd almost forgot about it until now. I've seen screenshots of it. It's like, yep.
Yeah. It's one of those episodes where like it doesn't fit with the rest of the theme of the series, and so you try to forget it exists because it's so bad, right? Basically, this leadership and property only belong to men on this African-inspired planet. It's very misogynistic.
African-inspired. It's very African inspired, like as though another planet could evolve the same way as African nations on Earth. But yet
And
they came
Yes.
up and they're wearing like very traditional African attire,
It's-
like
very bad.
oh, it's awful.
Horribly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Horrible episode.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, yeah.
And they basically kidnap Tasha because, oh, look, it's a blonde woman. Let me kidnap her because she's also like security officer. So it'll be heroic if I steal the blonde white woman and demand things.
I think that's a lot of the
Mhm.
reason why Denise Crosby left the show. She didn't like a lot of the stories that she was given. And I think that she
Yeah.
excelled when she came back as Sub-Commander Talar. Talar, was that it?
I don't remember.
Maybe.
But
let's
it's
see.
as her Romulan daughter.
Right.
Her
Yes, yes.
You know who I'm talking. She
Yeah,
excelled when she came back as that character. She was awful as Yar, and I don't. But I don't blame her. Denise, if you're watching this, I know you're not. But if you are, we don't blame you.
No.
We know why you left, and we support you, and we're happy you came back. Especially for, all good things, because it was an amazing finale, by the way.
Sela. It was,
Yes.
Commander
Sela,
Sela.
Commander Sela. Thank you.
Yeah. Had to look that up. I think Denise Crosby was an amazing actress. I think that they
Is
is
yeah.
is
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
an
yes.
amazing actress. I haven't seen her and stuff, so anyway.
Last thing I think I saw her in was Walking Dead.
Yeah, I think so. She's
At
still active
Terminus.
though.
Yeah, she, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Amazing actress, given potentially this amazing role, but again, they just didn't write her well.
Oh.
And Rick Berman will forever be the person I despise the most associated with Trek, and that is saying a lot because you heard my views on Robert Beltran and William Shatner before the show. But Rick Berman, there's nothing good to say about this man. I think the best thing that I have seen in recent memory is a few years ago. He posts a picture of a comm badge on his desk, and he's like, "This is Denise's comm badge. She gave it to me after she left the show." And she responded.
As a means of what? This?
Well,
Probably.
she responded back, "Is like, you're misremembering that. The last day I was on set, you came up to me, took my badge off of my uniform. So you grabbed right here where you shouldn't be grabbing, pulled it off. It's like, you won't be needing this anymore. And then turned your back and walked away." So basically roasted him on Twitter, pointing out that he was just a misogynistic piece of garbage, and also reiterate the fact that he decided to go reach towards her breast because that's the kind of person Rick Berman was. So,
And we are going to reset the show at the 4 p.m. hour Eastern Time, knowing that Rick Berman is a piece of shit. This is the Rules and Requisition, airing live on GCPR.live and also on Ghost Claw Production Radio at YouTube and Rules and Requisition. We have a special guest today. I'm Gretchen. This is Gilbert. You know us. We have Joseph the Platypus from another frackin' podcast on the show today. And we don't like Rick Berman.
No, we don't.
We have issues.
No, we don't.
We have issues. But
No.
as I challenged all of you, it is the top of the hour. And I want to know your favorite episodes of every series. And we'll let's keep it to the main ones. What the original series, the big three as I call them, TNG, Voyager, DS9, and then maybe Enterprise and Discovery. So let's start with our guest. I know you're obsessed.
All right.
okay, original series, Trouble with Tribbles, easy enough. Love Tribbles.
Great episode. Love that. Love it.
There's
Love
a lot of
Somebody
a lot
shut
of more
this
meaningful.
door.
Exactly. I mean, I've got. Hold on a second. I'm good for this reset. Let me do this.
I need to see.
Oh, I think we're about to be treated.
I'm going to point out that I have Tribbles in the background. This is exactly the spot where I film my podcast, and I will just leave my background open so you can see the Tribbles in the back and all the other.
This is why we pick the guests that we do.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
you can see that's a Tribble. There's another Tribble right there. Anyway,
Okay, TOS, Trouble Trolls.
Right. TOS, Trouble with Tribbles.
TNG.
Okay, next TNG. Oh, yeah. Gotta be the best of both worlds. Episodes 1 and 2. Iconic. Brought in the Borg. Really, nothing more I can say about that.
Yeah.
DS9.
In the Pale Moonlight, without a doubt, In the Pale Moonlight is one of my is probably my favorite
Awesome.
episode.
Awesome.
The fact that it did not win any sort of like mainstream award for writing and acting, because Hollywood doesn't do that for sci-fi shows. But Avery Brooks,
Sci-fi. They hate it. Like, it always gets...
there's no respect for it. But Avery Brooks' performance in the Pale Moonlight is just earth-shatteringly good. Guy who played Garrick, name's escaping me for the moment because too many names. Just did such an amazing job. Like, Garrick really is fleshed out as
Andrew Robinson.
Just amazing job. I mean, Garrick was an amazing character anyway, and he had really been fleshed out.
We
by
all
that.
love
Oh, yeah.
No one in this chat is going to tell you that
yeah.
Eric was not amazing.
And I just feel like this was like the best performance he gave as Garrick.
Yeah.
Maybe the episode where he's on the station with O'Brien and Nog, and he turns because of exposure to that like drug. That's another amazing episode with Garrick. But
Yes.
Pale Moonlight just by far is just perfection. And I could speak for an hour on that episode. Voyager. Oh God, Voyager is such a hard one.
I know, because there's so many.
Oh, yes.
There's so many good ones. I've been actually rewatching, binging that entire series this week, and I'm like, how do I not remember all of these fantastic episodes?
There's just,
Janeway
Mhm.
is a badass.
What?
There's
Oh
no
my
facts.
God! Yes.
there's a question that we have asked ourselves on another Frackin' podcast. It's like, what other captain could have made it out of the Delta Quadrant successfully?
Cisco. That's about it.
Cisco.
Janeway and Cisco.
Burnham.
The rest of them,
Burnham,
could
maybe.
do it.
Burnham could. Burnham, yeah.
Burnham could do it. But just talking about that era of Trek before Discovery, right? I mean, I don't think Picard would have done it. He would have made the Federation and the Delta Quadrant. That's it.
Mhm.
Yeah, he had to settle on a planet and like, hey, we're here, whatever.
Right.
Like Cisco could have done it, but it probably would have been bloodier. Let's be honest. It would have been bloodier.
After the
Yes.
episode where Cisco did that whole coup to draw the Romulans into the Dominion War,
Yeah.
that guy is ruthless.
The
Ruthless.
the other
Mhm.
example of this, right, is the episode where he captures Eddington.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, he says this, he's like, sometimes you have to be the villain, right? Like, he poisoned the Maquis planet on purpose to get Eddington to sacrifice himself because Eddington thought he was a hero. And I still think Eddington was the hero in that episode, for sure.
I don't disagree with you, actually. I don't.
Also a very powerful
Mhm.
episode.
Yes.
Yes,
Anyway.
absolutely.
Okay, so that was those. Enterprise. Ooh. Ugh. I would have to say Enterprise is hard for me. It's really hard for me.
I didn't finish the word. Swear jar. I didn't finish it. I said fuck. Yes. It's
Enterprise
very
is
hard.
hard.
It's very hard.
I really kind of feel like it would have to be Carbon Creek. I'm gonna have to stick with Carbon Creek.
I can't
Okay.
disagree with you there.
I
I can't.
As much as I want to like more, like Carbon Creek was just a really good episode, solid.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I
even
could
if
just
you-
go on.
Even if you want to talk about Discovery, like you can just say season because it's serialized. Like
well, so is Deep Nine with Discovery. Oh man, I think season 4 is just absolutely the best season, and
Yeah.
to pick
Mhm.
one episode of season 4 is super
Can't
hard
do
for
it.
me.
Can't do it. Nope,
it's
can't do
it's
it.
almost impossible. And I hate that we had shorter seasons with Discovery than we did for other Trek. The past Trek, right? Like Discovery really needed. I mean, it needs like 5 more seasons, to be honest.
It
It's so
needed
amazing.
7 seasons with
Yeah.
25, 30 episodes apiece, just like Trek or TNG, Voyager, and DS9.
They
It
could have done
deserved the full. It deserved.
It deserves it because it deserves the full respect of to have the episodes and the seasons like that. Yeah.
And I will say that it is the most like Deep Space Nine. And people have like argued with me on this. I'm like, no. You don't like it because you've got this thing in your head where you're thinking New Trek isn't good, but it's amazing. And if you really looked at the themes, get past like,
Mhm.
oh, the sci-fi, like the technobabble is not as good as it was in the past. It's like, that's because the stuff in the past has happened and we have gadgets like this. And so
Yes.
the technobabble
matter.
seems more
Right, yeah.
realistic to us now. But back then, it was all crazy too. Like, you're looking at it from two different lenses. So, okay,
I
take
had
aside the
said this
technobabble.
Yeah.
I'd said this 1,000 times. Like Star Trek, what it needed to refresh itself was jump 1,000 years into the future,
Yeah.
and then Discovery did that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like,
Mm-hmm.
who cares about technobabble anymore? Because you're not going to understand it.
Yeah, it's you've moved it so
Beyond
far in the
us.
future.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, right? But even then, like the reprogrammable matter, like all of this type of stuff, like
Yeah.
it's all possible. Anyway, so that's it. That's where I'm stopping.
All right. There we are.
All right.
It's your turn. TOS favorite episode.
Oh, of course, it's got to be, you know, Piece of the action.
See?
got to be piece of the action because, again, that was my introduction to original Trek was piece of the action.
That is why
So-
Gilbert is here today, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, see?
Why
Respect
he's here
that.
today.
Yeah, see? It's a piece of the action, see? So, of course, that was
TNG.
TNG. Oh. I forget the episode name, but but you said it, Joseph, is the one where they were introduced to the Borg. I forget the name of the
Oh,
episode.
Yeah, Best of both worlds. Yeah.
Yes, Best of Both Worlds.
No, that was
Oh,
the
no.
battle. The
That's
one
the
we were
battle.
introduced to was Q-Who.
Q Hoot, yes. That one. I said, I forget the name of it, but that's the episode where Q popped up and just
That was the
and
grow
just
the beard.
flung them all the way across the one side of the
That
galaxy
was
and
the
then
grow the beard. That's where they
Yes.
grew the beard, where the show actually got good.
right. Yeah, TNG, that was my favorite on that one, yeah. Because it
Awesome.
again introduced the Borg and nothing scarier than robot space zombies.
They
Nothing
don't
scarier than
crap
robot
about
space
you, they'll
zombies.
just kill you, and they don't care.
Right?
All right.
So-
DS9 favorite episode.
Let's see. DS9. Oh. It's a tie. It's a tie for one for DS9. So one is where they went back in time with the to the original series, the triple trifecta,
Trials and Tribulations.
Trials and Tribulations.
Tribulations.
Yes.
Yep.
There was that one, and what was the episode that Steve Warnock wrote? The Abandoned
Yes. The abandoned.
Yeah, The
one with
Abandoned.
The Jim Hadar.
with the Jim Hadar. Yes,
And we've had him on the show, by the way. Steve Warnock, writer of DS9. We want you
So-
back.
The
We need-
Dice Cast, right? Is that the Dice?
Producer and writer of Helios.
Helios.
Get back
So-
on this show.
you need to get him back on the show. So yeah, for that
And Voyager.
Voyager. Oh, it was when they had encountered this beast that would show them anything that they wanted to see because it was trying to basically eat them.
Oh yes. Yeah.
I forgot the name of the episode, but it had this old guy that always popped up when they were, because quite a few times they would think that they were, they would see this warp
Bliss.
thing that would, and they were going
Bliss.
home.
Yep.
Yes.
That's the name of the episode, Bliss.
Yes. And every time the old guy would pop up, you're being deceived. Yeah, there was that one for Voyager. That was that one, and a close second was when they introduced species
3472,
3472, yeah.
Scorpion parts 1 and 2.
Yes.
I know. What
But yeah.
my ex-father-in-law is like, you know too much about Star Trek. Why do you talk about stuff? I'm like, yeah, you can name every fullback for Penn State back in 1919. So don't talk to me about useless knowledge. All right.
So
I
yeah,
think
so
that's
you'll be
an
all right.
important point. That's an important point. Look, people will
But-
hyper focus on the things they love. That's what they do.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just human nature, So now let's see. Oh, Enterprise. Cause see, that's the thing. I haven't finished Enterprise yet, so
Yeah.
I haven't really found an episode that
would be like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. I like it.
because I haven't really found an episode that was like, oh man, I love that episode. It's like, yeah, they've been all right. So I'm gonna hold off on Enterprise for right now. So
There was no episode of Enterprise I watched where I was like, this is the one.
I stick to Carbon Creek for one reason.
I don't know.
Carbon Creek, because it's a good story, but not because I was like, yeah, Enterprise.
He's like, oh my god. Yeah. Again, I haven't found an episode where I was like, oh my god, that's a great episode. It's been all right. So I'll just skip to let's go with Discovery. And I've said it before, and the season 4 of Discovery, when they actually meet the aliens
Yep.
in the other galaxy. Yeah, that
Yeah.
it's hard to say one episode.
Sea aliens or whatever they were
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to narrow down one episode. It's that whole season. So there's that. As far as Strange New Worlds, that crossover episode with them and Lower Decks.
Okay, that is pure
That
joy.
was a great.
I
that was a great episode.
enjoyed that one highly. Highly enjoyed that one.
And let me just say, Lower Decks is also an amazing Trek show, and probably my third favorite Trek series of all time.
Yeah, and again, I know
Mhm.
we're a small podcast. Nobody's listening, but well, we have a handful of people. I'm not gonna say nobody, but Lower Decks, being canceled after 5 seasons was garbage.
Yeah.
That was a
Absolutely.
garbage move.
The fact that Prodigy is in limbo and hasn't been renewed by anybody is
Yeah.
garbage, by the way.
And
Because-
Prodigy is an amazing series.
It's an amazing series for anybody. It was made for kids, but the plot, the story, fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Season 2 of Prodigy, just speechless by it. So amazing.
And
Yes.
again, the rules of Nerdquisition are going to be at South Carolina Comic-Con, and we're going to meet Jonathan Frakes. And I just want to say that Jonathan Frakes has directed multiple episodes in multiple series, but also very much a part of Lower Decks.
Yes.
Mhm.
That he has.
This is a man who does not shy away from the fandom that loves him.
No, not at all. Like I was saying before the show, Frakes is an amazing human being. Or it
I
seems to
can't
be.
wait. I can't wait to meet him. I hope he's as great as I
Sad.
perceive him to be. I met George Takei once when I was 12 at a Star Trek convention in Cleveland, Ohio. And I did not get the chance to meet him at GalaxyCon here in Columbus this past December. I wanted to because I wanted to walk up and be like, hey, you signed an autograph for me when I was 12. I was also a boy, and you laughed at my stupid joke. And I know I know how gracious he would have been.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I was not able to afford that. But I already have my tickets for Greenville, South Carolina Comic-Con. They're already in my mailbox, and the rules of Nerdquisition will be there
It's awesome. Awesome.
with our friend
Said-
Aaron. With our friend Aaron.
That yes, we will be streaming live. We'll be coming to you live.
From
Yes.
Greenville, South Carolina Comic-Con. Woo! All
So-
right, so I guess I should jump into this. So my favorite episode of the original series, Spectre of the Gun. I don't know why. I'm 18 degrees removed by marriage from Doc Holliday, This is the episode with Wyatt Earp and all them people. And you and I have talked about this, Gilbert, how much I love the stage production feel of the original series.
Yeah,
How it's like
yeah,
you could
absolutely.
literally be in a theater watching this, and the sets are just a couple of props put up,
Mhm.
but the sound effects, whatever. So yeah, that's my favorite original series episode. My favorite episode of TNG, Hugh Who, first episode with the Borg. Very, very intense, very scary, and I love Whoopi Goldberg. Great episode. I love it. DS9, Far Beyond the Stars.
Good episode. Yep.
Yep, great episode.
With the backstory with Cisco writing the story of DS9. Again, his performance in that episode, Avery Brooks, was incredible. And while, sir, you are absolutely weird and as a person, we love you. I accept you. And that performance was amazing. Voyager, Drone.
Drone was a
The one
good
with the-
episode.
Oh
Borg
yeah,
was
yeah.
The Borg that was super smart, rapidly advancing, but also side by side with Scorpion 1 and 2. The first introduction to species 8472, because I'm going to go out on a limb and say that every one of us, our jaws dropped to the floor when those Borg cubes were destroyed.
Oh
at
yeah.
the beginning
Oh
of the
my
episode.
God.
We were
What?
like, what?
Because it's like, how for them? No, what? Huh?
Yeah.
What? Because at that point, I don't think we've ever seen a Borg cube like destroyed, and
No, to see multiple.
right? Because at that
blown
point,
up
I
right in
mean,
front- and then their planet blown up.
right, and then because you see, every species catches hell and eventually just succumbs to the Borg. Every one of it. Much like you, Gretchen, they had a 100% KD rate, and then species 8472 said, "Hold my beer."
Well, they
Yeah,
they
and-
did to the Borg what the Borg did at Wolf 359. Like, it's just utter devastation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna bring this up again. Like I play Star Trek Online a lot. I like that game. Traveling to fluid space is crazy, but also
Right?
traveling to Wolf 359. And again, for all those listening, if you don't know, Wolf 359 is the fourth closest star to ours. And in the game Star Trek Online, you can travel to Wolf 359 and see the monument of all the starships destroyed
That's
at Wolf
wild.
359.
That's wild.
Wow.
It is wild. And it gives me chills every time I fly there. Like, it's some stupid graphic on my TV, and I'm like, there are 39 starships right there that were absolutely wiped out. Thousands of people. Thousands of people. I know it's fictional. I know it's fake. I know. Why are you freaking out about this? It's not real. But it means something to me, because it is something that happened in a universe we created. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's important. And if you play Star Trek Online, the first thing you should do is go to Wolf 359 and fly around that monument and look at all the destroyed ships and be like, these people got screwed. Because I was the person with the DVD VHS conversion machine when they first came out who recorded Best of Both Worlds and then superimposed the Battle of Wolf 359 from the opening of DS9 in between. Like, so when I watch the battle now on my DVD, it's like, here's the Best of Both Worlds. The Starfleet called. They've engaged the Borg at Wolf 359, and then it cuts right to the battle scene. And then you got Riker and crew on the bridge of the Enterprise looking at the mess left over. Like, Anyway, not to get too nerdy and crazy.
Too late.
Yeah, right, right. I mean, it says the rules of nerdquisition. That's what we do here.
Right?
Yeah, so drone regeneration enterprise, probably my favorite episode, but I also like the full season 3, the Zendi storyline. I like serialized TV. Star Trek people, we like ongoing stories. It doesn't have to be Monster of the Week every week.
I did like the Zindi episodes. I will say
Oh,
that,
yeah.
but I can't say I like the entire season because
Not
Again.
the entire season.
the problem for me, there's a few problems with that season. But when Archer decides that he's going to strand this poor ship for a long time to steal their warp core because he managed to again screw up and get his warp core destroyed, that
Mhm.
felt very off. And it felt very off because if you delve as deep into the nerdom as I do, you know that Archer eventually becomes president of the Federation. So the future president of the Federation has just committed a war crime against an innocent group of people to save his own ass.
Jonathan Archer, aka George W. Bush.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Just so much about him bothers me. Now I do like the fact that they are working to something bigger than just he let his dog pee on a planet, right? Like there's more stakes in the game with this season. But God, he's such a bad captain.
Like, I knew he was bad when he brought his dog to a peace talk.
Yes.
Why would you do that? And then would get mad because, well, what do you mean? Look, he's a dog. Dogs pee. That's what they do.
Like-
Motherfucker, that's not your home. This is not your planet. Matter of fact, you are on the job.
Right.
What in the hell is wrong with you?
But Gilbert, he needed some air. He needed to feel the sunshine on his poor
He
little
needed
eagle.
he needed to stretch his legs. He needed some air.
Needed some air. That's why my favorite episode of Enterprise is Regeneration, because again, Archer had little to do with it.
Yeah.
It was T'Pol that mostly took care of everything because T'Pol is awesome.
T'Pol is
But
great
T'Pol always takes care of everything.
because
She's
T'Pol is great.
Yeah.
T'Pol is the goat in that show.
She was the goat.
Without-
but also
without a doubt.
Trip. Also Trip. I love Trip. I love that character.
I want to love Trip more than I do. And I like Trip because Trip can pull the crazy things he needs to do. But Trip is so loyal to this like
this whole-
walking meat sack that has no purpose on that show.
He's very loyal to Archer. I get you.
Yeah.
I get you.
It's like just kiss him already and get it over with, dude. Come on. Like
Which is why I wanted, I don't know if you guys have watched it. There's a documentary, I think on Prime, DS9 documentary.
mhm.
And
Mhm.
did you see the actor who played Garrick? I named him earlier. I'm lost
Robinson. Yeah, Andrew Robinson.
Robinson. Yeah, he was like, Garrick just wanted to have sex with Dr. Bashir.
Yes.
They should have done that.
Yeah.
They should have had a relationship. They should have.
And
I'm for that 100%. Garrick and Bashir. I am all for Bashir or
have you finished Lower Decks? Have either of you finished Lower Decks?
I have.
I'm working through it. I'm not.
Okay,
I'm
then I
about
will not say anymore.
halfway through. Halfway through. But oh my gosh, that needs to be a thing. And if that becomes a thing in Lower Decks, I'm going to be seriously happy. But to wrap up mine, as far as Strange New Worlds goes, yes, I love the episode Subspace Rhapsody. I'm one of those people that's like, I think Grease 2 is better than Grease. I love that musical. But
I'm
I
not
think
defending
that-
you on this.
I think
I'll take your word for it.
Subspace Rhapsody, I think Subspace Rhapsody is a fantastic episode. I've watched it about 12 times in the last week. And but still, my favorite episode is Such Sweet Sorrow, the Enterprise, Discovery versus Control.
Amazing episode.
What
Okay,
amazing
yeah,
episode.
that was a great episode. Yeah, yeah.
Star Trek has never been about the visual effects or the battles or anything like that,
Mhm.
but that was one of the most amazing on-screen battles I've ever seen.
Okay, I'm going to say something now, and you're not going to like me. Okay. But you said you did not like the J.J. Abrams movies at all with the lens flare.
I don't hate them; they're just not my favorite. But continue.
Okay, but you understand that that battle with Discovery and the Enterprise against Control is very much like Star Trek Into the Darkness.
Without the lens flare,
Without the lens, yes. The only problem, and I've said it before, and the only problem I've ever had with the Kelvin verse is the lens flares, because it's just too damn bright.
I'm going to take it a step further. My problem with the Kelvin timeline is that despite the fact that we had great performances of characters we know and love, the show was basically Star Wars with a Star Trek skin thrown on top of it. They robbed the soul of Star Trek. There was no moral to the story. That's what Star Trek is about. The Kelvin universe was just explosions and space battles. You want that? Go watch Star Wars. You want that? Go watch Star Wars.
I will say that the way I see it, is it my favorite? It's definitely not my favorite, but I appreciate it. And Into Darkness is probably one of the least liked of those movies, and I liked it the most.
The worst of the
because
three. It's the worst of the three.
I love it. I love it better than the other two.
All right. Okay, we're about to have a serious conversation. We're about to have a serious conversation here, and I'm going to ask you a serious conversation here, Joseph. You are my friend. I love you, and nothing will change after the show, ish. But what did you love about Into Darkness? Pause.
Wait, did I say Into Darkness? I'm thinking the third one. Right, that's the
Beyond. Beyond is the third one.
Beyond. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the one
Into
I-
Darkness was the one with Khan.
Okay, that's
Don't
not.
Yeah.
don't tell me that was
you're
your
right.
favorite.
You're right. That was not
All
my
right.
favorite. That was not my favorite. I take it back.
All right.
With Beyond,
I win.
Star Trek
Okay.
Beyond. Star Trek Beyond I loved because it wasn't a bad rehash of other things that Trek had already done.
I
was-
love
Right.
the
original
movie
story.
Star Trek Beyond. I love it.
Okay. I had to think there. I was like, is that no? I did not like the. I don't mind the movies, but Beyond
Mhm.
is my favorite because it is an original story. We got to see Sulu with a husband and kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I love that it gave us that, right? That brought me joy. And I think it actually had very deep meaning. I mean, there was this captain who had to deal with the Zindi War. He was a Mako, went on to become a captain of a ship, and basically felt abandoned by the Federation. Whether or not that was the case or not, he was suffering from some PTSD. And I think that
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
very powerful. That somebody who was a hero turns into the villain. And I think the special effects were amazing. I think there was a little bit less lens flare on this one. Oddly enough,
Less.
it was
Right.
directed by Justin Lin and not J.J. Abrams, so that's why.
Thank you. You've ruined Star Wars and Star Trek, JJ. But, bye.
Okay, don't start me on the Star Wars conversation.
We'll get you back on the show for that one.
So-
It's a whole nother show.
Ray is my
So,
favorite
right?
character in Star Wars.
No, I love Ray. I'm not going to argue with you on that. But we're not talking Star Wars today. We're talking Trek. And we're
Yeah.
we're talking about Star Trek Beyond, and yes, I agree with you. It's a great movie. It's my
Yeah.
favorite of the three.
Yeah. And the thing I really like about these movies is it got us more Trek on TV. It resurged
Mhm.
the popularity of Trek. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
while it may not
agreed.
be my favorite stuff, I'm not going to gatekeep it. I'm not going to say it's not real Trek because it has a place. We know alternate timelines exist in Trek. That's been explored in the past. We got more Trek out of it because Abrams went forward. And Kurtzman oftentimes partners with Abrams, and that's how he got to be showrunner of Discovery. And I really feel like this was what we needed to jumpstart interest back into Trek. And you talk about the lens flare being too bright on these movies, and I laugh because one of my biggest criticisms of Discovery is like turn on the freaking lights. I've
actually said that about the movie Star Trek Generations. When
Generations
they're
was
on the
bad.
bridge,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so dark. It's so dark. The ready room, the whatever you call it, the room where they all meet.
Yeah,
The
the
console-
conference room.
Yeah, conference. Yeah.
conference room. Thank you. Couldn't even think of the word conference. Yeah, it was very dark. That whole movie was like so dark until they got to that planet. But no, I agree with you. The J.J. Abrams movies brought Trek to a whole new audience, and I applaud that. We need more fans in Trekdom.
Oh
We
yeah.
need more
I
people watching.
yeah, totally agree because you see, until those movies came out, the last kind of taste that we had in our mouths from Star Trek was from Enterprise, and
Yep.
not a lot of people. It didn't fly over too well, and so with those movies that came
No, it
out,
didn't.
and-
Enterprise flopped.
Yeah.
To be honest, it flopped.
it flopped hard. It flopped extremely hard. But when the movies came out, exactly, they basically resurged the whole franchise. And it brought a new look to it, and it kind of explored kind of what Trek, could be. And moving away from like kind of the stage production to be more of like the huge cinematic with the action and players,
Blockbuster.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. First of all, I have two points about the Trek reboot movies. I absolutely love the redesign of the Enterprise. It's fabulous. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
And also, when Zachary Quinto and Leonard
Mhm.
Nimoy's Spock meet at the end of the original, the first of the three,
Mhm.
I can't watch that scene without crying. I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. It's amazing.
I love the movies because they brought Nimoy back
Yes.
and
Mhm.
not Shatner.
And then
Yes.
honored his death in the third one that you
Yes.
mentioned. And
Yes,
Beyond.
yeah.
They honored his death.
And to me, look, my mom loved Trek. She got me into Trek. She loved Nimoy. Loved
Mhm.
Nimoy. Because, like, hey, look, like, this amazing, nerdy person. And honestly, like, Jadzia Dax even likes, like, oh, he's so much more handsome in person. It's like, come on. The nerd's a cool one. Why is everybody going for Kirk? Like, Jadzia Nico is up.
And since I have you on the
Yeah.
show today, Joseph, I have to ask you because, you're a big fan of DS9. We're all agreeing that DS9 is the number one Star Trek series. You saw the documentary I was talking about, right,
Yeah.
on Prime?
Yeah.
How did you feel about Jadzia Dax? Was Terry Farrell?
Terry Farrell.
Farrell,
Yes.
Yeah.
She was so upset in that documentary about how she
Yeah.
was pushed out of that show. How
Yeah.
do you feel about that? How do you feel about that?
again, this goes back to Rick Berman is just the worst thing to have ever happened in Star Trek. She
Guess I
didn't
should've
want to
just said
quit
that.
the
Rick
show.
Berman sucks.
She wanted some time off to do some other projects because they all knew the show was coming to an end,
And she wanted the same pay that everyone else was getting.
and she
too.
wanted
Yeah.
equal pay. It's like,
Oh my God!
pay
Equal pay.
her. Pay her. Okay. So many amazing characters on that show, right?
Oh,
Dax was this just perfect representation of feminism and being well balanced and intellectuality and sexuality all into one amazing character. She was feminine and gorgeous and brilliant and a mighty warrior in her own right.
strong. Yeah.
Absolutely,
And
yes.
she brought it, and she gave us back Kor, Koloth, and Kang.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just
Thank you.
the fact that they killed her off. And don't get me wrong, like I loved Ezri Dax,
Ezri's amazing.
See, yeah.
I love her, but
but
She-
losing Jadzia was it hurt.
But yeah, again, I said loved Ezri, you know, but she wasn't quite Jadzia though.
Nicole DeBoa, was that her name?
The bear.
The bear? DeBoer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nicole
Yes.
DeBoer. Look, I've got nothing against you, and she does voices. She does the voice of Ezri Dax in Star Trek Online. The missions I've
Mhm.
played, I love her being a part of it. We adore you. You're part of Star Trek. You're part of you're our family, right? But Jadzia she was done wrong.
She was top tier. She was top tier and was done wrong.
She
So
was done wrong.
Absolutely wrong. But again, this is typical of Rick Berman, right? Like he wouldn't pay the women what they should have been paid. He did not appreciate actually strong, powerful female characters. He just felt like the only reason people liked Dax is because she was pretty, and I can just replace her with another pretty brunette. And
You
that's
can't replace her
Yeah.
with a pretty brunette.
ridiculous. That was ridiculous. Now Ezri could have been a whole separate character that would have been amazing in season 7, in addition to Jadzia. Like we could have
Yeah,
easily had another
absolutely.
crew, that was a character on the show and would have. I could see a place for both of them in season 7, and it really
You know,
bothers me that they
Mhm.
lost Jadzia.
Can you imagine the storylines between Ezri and Jadzia?
Just
We could have had so
Yeah.
many great stories between the two of them.
yes, it was an unnecessary death. And again, like you said, Gilbert, and Gretchen, like Ezri's amazing. Nicole was a great actress and brought a really important energy. That station
Mhm.
needed a counselor. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it did.
Well, yeah.
More
and-
than the Enterprise did.
Well, yeah, and not only just that. I mean, and you said it before, Gretchen. Is that generally with characters like that, you get attached to them. You know, it takes longer than just one season to get attached to a character. I mean, especially after the one that they're replacing is that you've grown extremely attached to them.
Now,
You know,
now,
so-
props to the writers of DS9 because they delved into this. Because, like you said, it takes so long for us to get into a character. You can't just expect us to forget that character in one season.
Yes.
The writers really delved into that with her relationship with Worf, and I think
Mhm.
they did a good job. But I'm sorry, Terry Farrell, you got robbed.
yeah.
When you cried on that DS9 documentary, I felt it. I felt it as though I were there, as though I were the one who's getting screwed.
Yeah,
I
and I think kind of when you say that, I think kind of Worf kind of represented the fans as like, yeah, I mean, you are Dax, and you know, but you're not my Dax, and so
Right,
yeah,
right.
you you're great, and love everything you do, and again, you're Dax, but you're not my Dax.
Yeah, it's like
So-
it's calling a gorgeous brunette old man. Like I get where Cisco's coming from because he knew her
Yeah.
before
He knew
she
her.
was who she is, but I don't look at this gorgeous brunette as an old man
Yeah. So
Yeah.
because
and
welcome to the 21st century, Donald Trump. People, we can choose our identity.
Right.
We can do that.
yeah,
We can do that. And as we don't usually do on this show, I'm going to start doing this now, though. We're going to do what, on the Villain's View, we call it Final Thoughts. On this show, we call it the Mission Debrief. So I'm going to give everyone a chance to go around the room and give your final thoughts or mission debriefing as far as our conversations today. We did review Metamorphosis, season 2, episode 9 of the original Star Trek episode. Was Zephram Cochrane, and yeah, there was a girl. She died and became this thing that was
she became a meat suit.
a meat suit, because she was glowing lights or whatever. You can talk about in your mission debrief. You can give us your thoughts on the episode, or just give us your personal opinion or thoughts going on. So I'm going to start with our special guest. Thank you so much, Joseph, for coming on the show. I'm so
Thank you.
excited to have you here. Give us your mission debrief.
One, I think the fact that you called me onto the show for this episode was cool because it allowed me to highlight that even though I love Trek, and I think Trek has an amazing message, a message that we need right now, one of inclusivity, one of a better tomorrow, it also highlights that from the frame of mind of a straight cis white man, you're not going to get where we need to be. It's going to be problematic. And that's a huge thing to say, right? Like, this is why diversity and inclusion is super important, right? If Gene Roddenberry had had more people of color or people of different genders sitting next to him as an equal, helping him come up the show, it would have been amazing from the 60s onward. But what we see is that Trek is very flawed in many ways. And so what do we do with things we love? We appreciate the things we love, but we also recognize when things can be improved. So my mission debrief is this is a perfect way to highlight how important it is. There's a difference between patriotism and nationalism, between being a fan and basically being in a cult. You can recognize the good and call out the bad and still love something. And what we really need in society is a lot more of recognizing the bad and addressing it instead of ignoring it. That's my debrief.
Fantastic. I appreciate that. I'll go next because Gilbert always has the honor of ending this show and sending us back to Starbase for our next mission. But yeah, I mean, I'm just going to mirror what Joseph said today. Again, I'm going to be giddy and goofy and say thank you again for coming on the show. I was very excited to have you here. I can't believe you're here now, still 2 hours later. But I'm just happy you are. If you want to follow Joseph, another frackin' podcast, another FRAKKIN PODCAST. I can spell right. .com.
That's right.
You can follow them there, and yeah, check them out. Just a friend of mine, a mutual on TikTok that I met, and someone that we share phone numbers with, and I consider a friend, just like Gilbert. Someone I met on TikTok. 4 years ago, I didn't even know these people, but they're very important to me now. So yes, to mirror Joseph's message, Trek is awesome. We love Trek. We live Trek, but it's not perfect. There are mistakes. It started in misogyny, and things throughout the shows are not right, and we need to call that out. We need to stand up for that, and that's my only point. Other than that, Gilbert, take us home, babe.
All right. So, Joseph, I do appreciate you coming on the show, sharing your thoughts with us, and kind of picking apart the whole episode with us, and kind of giving your thoughts on just the Trek as in general, series by series by series, and again, like y'all said, I mean, Trek has its flaws, and we are fans, and we love these. We love all of the series, all the franchise, and captains except for Archer, But and again, if we truly do love these franchises and these shows, and we're invested in these characters like we say we are, we should also be able to say, hey, this is a problem. Yes, I do. I like Captain Kirk, but you know what? Hey, he does have a problem with misogyny. I like, Jean-Luc Picard, but, he does have a problem with, sticking to his guns sometimes. I like, whatever character, it is. If you truly do love them, you should be able to say, hey, this is wrong. This needs to be fixed because this character, I want this character to be better. I want this show to be better. And this is how it can be better, by embracing the diversity, embracing the equity, embracing it, instead of just say, oh, well, I'm captain, and so my dog wants to stretch his legs and go and pee. He should be able to do that because I'm the captain. No. That's not how it works. But again, we have made some strides, but we still have a long ways to go. And Trek, with all its flaws, it's showing us that. And so with that, I will end everything with everybody. Please keep your triple spayed and neutered. Take care, everybody.
Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Bye.
Bye.